On this episode of Mom Sipping Sangria,
if you don't feel comfortable around other people, that's totally fine right now, as long as you communicate it well. And if you are planning to be with other people, then you need to make them feel comfortable around you.
Okay, let's do it.
July is waiting for us with open arms. Happy early Canada Day. This is Mom Sipping Sangria, and I'm one of the moms, Sheila Walsh.
And I'm one of the other moms, Anita Reynolds MacArthur, sipping on a You Got This Girl Sangria. Where did you find this recipe?
I don't remember. I gotta look it up. Why? Where did I find that? I don't know.
Well, it says LCBO link, but you said you will explain the title.
Don't remember.
I don't remember. That's good.
I know I was looking it up somewhere and there was a story behind it, but I don't remember what the story was. But we do got this, right? I'd like to think that most people are adapting to the world as it is right now, and we all got this with help from friends and family, neighbors, and experts like Dr. Natasha Sharma, who we had on a couple of episodes ago, and I've been following her, Anita, on her social media, and she's offering little tidbits here and there consistently with how to deal with every new situation that arises. So she's a really great source.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. So in many places, restrictions are being lifted. Bubbles are starting to share with other bubbles. What a weird thing. Could you imagine us making that statement a year ago? Hey, Anita, how's your bubble transference going? You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
When can I become a part of your bubble, Sheila?
So I guess bubble is going to make it to that list of words that are really popular in 2020. So bubbles are breaking, and how are we navigating this?
Okay, lots of questions, Sheila, and some concerns as well. But if you're not comfortable sharing your bubble with someone else's bubble, how do we do this safely and with the best etiquette possible? We reached out to Konrad Philip. Konrad is a certified etiquette coach. He offers training in business, dining, and intercultural etiquette. As a media expert, he shared his advice on CTV News, Global BC Morning News, and CBC Radio, just to name a few.
Hi, Konrad. Welcome to Mom Sipping Sangria.
Good morning. Hi.
Yes, it's morning for you.
Yes, that's
for a few hours now.
Right. That's right.
Is it sangria time where you are?
It's always sangria time. I want to ask Konrad, what is the etiquette around sangria time? When can it start?
Yeah,
I think it's one of those anytime drinks. It depends on your mood. That's what I would say.
That's true. And we can always, the non-alcoholic route, and you call it breakfast.
Very versatile.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what exactly you do. What does a certified etiquette coach do?
Well, I saw a need because a lot of people are in the world of business and they're very smart people, but we lack those social skills that sometimes make us feel awkward in new situations. So I go into mostly people who are, I call them emerging professionals, people who want to get ahead in business or in life, but they lack some of those social skills. They feel uncomfortable in formal settings. And we all end up in those formal settings sometimes, whether we like it or not, even here on the casual West Coast. So I have a certified etiquette and protocol program that I teach. I am trained and certified by the Protocol School of Washington. It's the foremost school. So I have a program that is approved, and I teach it wherever I'm invited to do that.
Excellent.
Konrad, where you are on the West Coast, restrictions are being lifted, but are a little different from the restrictions that are being lifted here in Ontario. We're at a different stage, and that's different from the East Coast. So let's start by, no matter where you are, no matter what the restrictions are, what should we keep in mind when easing into these new situations with best practices of etiquette?
I've been very alarmed by some of the things people are saying online, especially with the anger. They're angry or they don't understand other people. Either they're doing too much or they're doing too little. And we all have different circumstances and we have different comfort levels. So we shouldn't judge other people's choices and what they do. As long as it's allowed, then let people do that. And if somebody invites you to do an activity, then be flattered as you normally would. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, then politely decline. But there shouldn't be any judgment of other people right now.
That's an excellent point. In fact, if you are out and about and you're practicing what you deem to be safe, a mask, gloves, maybe the social distancing, physical distancing, and somebody is out in the store and not doing that, I mean, obviously they might be putting you at risk. So instead of raging at them, how can we operate that narrative and politely say, get away from me, you might have cooties?
Really, if you are going out in public and you may encounter people who are not as cautious as you are, you have to be prepared for that. And I mean, now we have so many ways around going places that if you don't feel comfortable yet completely, it might be a good idea to find other ways to get what you need to get done without being around crowds.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to change them, so you've got to change what you are expecting from the society right now.
So, here in Ontario, our social circles are growing, that could change very quickly. So for friends who did not make that cut into, and family who didn't make that cut into your social circle, how can you help them to not feel that rejection or take it personally? And what happens if you're on the receiving end of that cut and like you personally didn't get into that social circle?
We really shouldn't, again, be angry at people. We should be understanding of them. And if somebody isn't in our circle, but let's say they want to spend time with us and we have to reject them, we have to, again, be very thankful that they thought of us. If you do need to decline, you say that you do that because you're keeping your circle small. You don't want to get anybody sick right now. So it's really you who made that decision. You don't want to make other people sick. But if you say it nicely, then people will understand and you can still stay in touch in other ways. I would say, though, that if you do keep people out of your circle, that you shouldn't expect them to call you until you initiate something. So that way they will know that you feel comfortable again with expanding your circle. So if you have shut someone down, you need to initiate the next thing. Otherwise, they might think you're still isolating yourself from them.
Right. No one can read your mind, correct?
Correct. Everybody is so different because we have different health situations. We have different levels of caution. We have different social needs. Some people are perfectly fine with a circle of 10 people. Others are very social and they have to have that interaction with others. Children too, some of them are fine playing on their own, and others have a need to be around more children. And if you don't fulfill that need, it's difficult for people. So you need to understand that.
That's so true, especially with the kids. I mean, they're used to being in classrooms and they're used to being on play dates. So I imagine it's a little tougher of a sell to them, and especially, to keep in mind etiquette, because maybe somebody's parent is wanting to, mix you and you don't, and the kids are going to take it personally. It could be a nightmare, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is an unprecedented time. So really, and when it comes to your health, it's very important, and the health of your children and your decisions of what you think is right for your family. So absolutely make the decisions you want to make. At this point, we can decide what we want to decide. It's about how you do it. We don't get angry if somebody invites us somewhere. We don't make people feel uncomfortable by making them feel like they're somehow not welcome or they're dirty and you have to sanitize yourself every time you're around them. When you give that kind of impression, that's where things can go wrong. But just by declining an invitation, keeping a circle small, it really shouldn't offend anybody.
On that note, we're used to handshakes and hugs, and if people are reaching out and wanting to give you a handshake and they're not in your circle, is there a way to do it where you're not making them feel dirty and you're not making it as awkward as possible? What would you suggest?
There are many ways you can do a greeting without a handshake. You could place your hand over your heart. You could do that. You could clasp your hands in front of you, and that way you give the signal that you do want to greet them. And of course, do it very politely, and your voice is very important, and your facial expression is very important, but you can signal that you do not want to handshake. When this whole thing started, I was being asked, well, what if you do the leg tap, or people are tapping their legs or their elbows? And I just say, you know what? The greetings that we have, they're meant to be universal. They're meant to be something we expect. And if you do something like that, you can throw some people off. So I would stick to things that are familiar.
Have you come across certain situations that weren't being handled well that you can give us an example of?
I did read an article that I totally disagreed with, but it was an article about this COVID-19 etiquette and about hosting parties during COVID-19. And in that, there was advice that it was perfectly fine to tell your guests to not use the bathroom at your house, and to ask them to bring their own cutlery and their own place settings, because you don't want to use yours because of health concerns. And I just thought that was too much. You know, the spirit of hosting people at your home is to make them feel comfortable, and nobody feels comfortable bringing their whole place setting to your house. It's just impractical. I had a few people over, and I used disposable cutlery, disposable plates they were high quality, they were sturdy, but they could be thrown in the garbage, so they were not mine. So that's a way around those kinds of things. We can take precautions, but we don't have to make people feel uncomfortable. And I let people use my bathroom too, because I think that was extreme to not let people use your bathroom.
Konrad, are we missing anything else that people should keep in mind when it comes to etiquette and navigating this, everyone's calling it the new normal?
I think it's a very important topic because this summer we're going to be relying on ourselves to organize our fun. A lot of the public events are canceled. Canada Day is basically canceled. So we need to organize our own fun. And as long as we follow the spirit of etiquette, which is to make people feel comfortable with us, then we will be able to navigate whatever circumstances happen. But we can't forget that. So if you don't feel comfortable around other people, that's totally fine right now, as long as you communicate it well. And if you are planning to be with other people, then you need to make them feel comfortable around you. And so it's very important to keep that in mind.
If people want to follow you or look into the services you offer, where can they find you?
They can follow me on notawkwardanymore.com. That's my website address. And they can also find me on Facebook, Konrad Philip, Etiquette Coach.
And I want to say, Konrad, I was looking at your website, and you have such great advice for so many different scenarios. How telephone etiquette and election etiquette, and you've got fast food etiquette. It's such a great thing that you're doing to kind of make people understand each other a little bit better, especially in these times. So thank you for that, and thank you so much for joining us today. Please stay safe and well on the West Coast.
Absolutely, and same to you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Konrad.
Take care.
Nita, sticking with, the new normal of the pandemic, and Konrad was great, by the way. There were some pandemic terms that were brought to my attention this past week that were hilarious. Do you want to hear a few of them?
Oh my gosh, please, let's share.
Okay. The elephant in the Zoom, which is the glaring issue during a video conferencing that nobody feels able to mention, right? They've got a booger in their nose or something, or you've got some kind of really awful, messy background or something. So that's called the elephant in the Zoom. There's also gout break, the sudden fear that you've consumed so much wine, cheese, homemade cake, and chocolate that your ankles are swelling up. That'd be me. There's Quentin Quarantino as opposed to Quentin Tarantino. This is Quentin Quarantino, where everybody in lockdown thinks that they're now this filmmaker and they're making these movies.
Oh my gosh, you're so true. That happens everywhere.
All the time. And this last one is anti-social distancing, using health precautions as an excuse for snubbing neighbors and generally ignoring people you find irritating.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Anti-social distancing. I love that. I think I might start using that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
There's a list of 15 risks that was put out by NPR. Sheila, what's NPR again?
National Public Radio. It's like the CBC of the United States. Yeah.
So they put out this article and it talks about the risks during summer activities that you can come across. Some of them that are low, medium, or high risk. And it's a really interesting list, actually. Eating indoors at a restaurant is actually a medium to high risk. Okay. Even if space is okay, the duration of exposure is longer. So that's that one. Attending a religious service indoors is high risk. The biggest part of it is the singing. The spores go further, faster. So yeah, that's definitely a high risk. We've got spending the day at a popular beach or pool is low risk. As long as you stay socially distanced, this could be pretty safe activity. The water itself is not a risk. The sheer volume of water will dilute out the virus, making the water a highly unlikely source of infection.
Okay.
Letting a friend use your washroom is actually low risk.
Well, that's what Konrad was saying.
Yeah. What happens is the germs are going to be sucked out of the bathroom ventilation, and you can clean all of the hard surfaces really easily. And then one last one that I'm going to mention is the public restroom. That's actually a low to medium risk. Restrooms have been designed to prevent disease transmission. So there are lots of things that people can catch, but they almost never do because they're set up with hard surfaces that also can be cleaned, just like in your home bathroom.
Yeah, I still am a little creeped out by using a public bathroom right now. I'm not going to lie. But, that will change. That will change as we get used to this. So those are good. You'll put them up on the website. Excellent. Yeah. Very cool. Well, moving on, vent or compliment, where we either raise a glass or take a pass on something, someone. What are you picking this week, Anita? Toast or toss?
Okay, so I'm actually going to raise a glass. In light of the current situation that's been going on in the last few weeks, we had a special podcast that we put together, and so I just wanted to raise a glass to the voices that were shared: Whitney, Sham, Danielle, and Shelley. Thank you so much for taking part in that special episode, and we really appreciate everything that you had to say. We are listening.
Very nice. And yeah, for sure, I would raise a glass to those 4 wonderful people as well. Thanks for participating in that. I also want to raise a glass to the folks who tested me for COVID.
That's right.
Because Lila, one of my children, had pink eye, and I was getting phone screened for something, and they said, have you ever blah, 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 pink eye? And I'm like, well, I don't have pink eye, but my daughter actually does have pink eye. And they said, get to COVID screening. So she and I went to the one in Mississauga, right by Trillium Hospital, and we were in and out very quickly. The actual procedure, I know everybody's creeped out by it, but it literally is in and out very quickly. They swab the back of your throat, and then they swab, up your nose with the rubber hose. Sorry. Do you remember that saying? Sorry. Up your nose.
And some levity to it.
And we were in and out within 5 minutes. We both tested negative, but first of all, didn't even know pink eye was a symptom. So if you don't, apparently it is a very rare one, but it is one. And so I want to also raise a glass to all the doctors and nurses and admin people who were there and so professional and they're working their butts off. And I just, again, frontline workers in every area, raise a glass to all of you and thank you for what you're doing. And also we want to thank everyone who's listening and subscribing to our podcast. We are one of close to 1 million podcasts out there, Anita. So the fact that we have such a great a group of people listening to us, we want to give a shout out to you. My neighbors, Nick and Stephanie, they started listening recently, and I want to say a special hi to them. Yeah. So thank you for listening to Mom Sipping Sangria, and thank you, everyone. We raise a glass to y'all. Okay, time to break out the bizarre. This is where Anita and I search for a really weird, bizarre story and spring it on each other right here, right now for the first time, usually leading to the thought, seriously? Anita, it's your turn this time. What do you have for me?
Here's the headline. Woman who kept her husband's corpse in freezer sues for return of body.
What?
And this was posted on the CTV News.
Okay. Do tell.
Okay, so this is a woman who kept her husband's body in a freezer in her bedroom at their Southwest Missouri home is suing for the return of his remains. Barbara Waters was charged in November with abandoning a corpse after police found her husband's body in the freezer. A judge dismissed the charge in January, ruling that her actions did not meet the legal definition of abandonment of a corpse. So now she is suing them because they have the body, and she wants it back.
Okay. Do I have actually anything to say about this? I think it just stands on its own. Do you know what they did with the body?
Legal counsel has advised not to comment on why the body has not been released or why no death certificate has been issued.
All right, that is a bizarre one, Anita, and that does ponder the seriously question. So listen, we would love to hear your bizarre stories. Contact us on our website, momssippingsangria.com. And if we use your story, you have a chance to win a handmade set of 3 cotton face masks from Vintage Morning Glory. And they're great. I have some.
You know, my sister Adele actually just ordered some from there, and she loves them. She says they're really well made, and they're a nice soft cotton and done, the way they should be made.
Yeah. So this is a friend of mine. It's actually my daughter's best friend's mom. Her name is Sabina. She was a seamstress for years and years at a company. What she used to do was make really high-end dress shirts for men. So she knows what she's doing. If you have a bizarre story, let us know.
And you can check them out yourself on our website. We'll put the link up there just for you. This is where we spill the sangria. Can be a confession, revelation, funny story. Sheila, you're up this time, so pick your poison.
Oh, yeah.
Are you okay there?
I'm spilling my sangria. Pick your poison. That's an old one. I know your parents are younger than my parents, but my mom, still does come up with all sorts of interesting little things. And I'm totally off topic. I'm sorry, but I got to throw this in. Frost your mother's preserves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't know that one.
So if somebody did something, inappropriate, she'd go, "Oh, wouldn't that frost your mother's preserves?"
I love it.
Back to the pickling days. Anywho, so we're talking about spilling the sangria. This happened in the past month or so. My son and his friend Nick are driving the minivan, and on the side of the minivan, I had the Mom Sipping Sangria car magnet. I think you have yours too.
That's right.
Miles and Nick driving the minivan, right? So 2 19-year-old boys driving a minivan in the suburbs with Mom Sipping Sangria on the van. So they pull up to a stoplight, and bus pulls up beside them, and so they're sitting there, and Nick is in the passenger seat, and he looks up to the bus driver, and the bus driver looks down and looks at the Mom Sipping Sangria thing, and then looks at Nick, and is kind of laughing and shaking his head. So Nick, being Nick, he grabs one of the Mom Sipping Sangria business cards, which I kept in the van, and he hands the business card to the bus driver and says, "Give it a listen." No. It gets back in the car and they drive away. And all I can think of when they were telling this is like, can you imagine what that bus driver was thinking? Like, what the heck is this? So anyway, if we have a new listener who's a bus driver, that my son and his friend.
Hey, we should have them go around town just handing those out.
I think so. I was downtown too, and I came to a stop, and I forgot I had it on the side, and this woman was like looking at the side of the car, and I'm like, I wonder what she's looking at. Then I realized as the light turned green, so I'm like, oh, hi! And then I drove away. So she might be a new listener. So hello to you as well. Okay, well, thank you for letting us hang out with you, and we hope you're staying well and healthy. Remember, past episodes and recipes for the sangrias we mentioned can be found on our website, momsippingsangria.com. Oh, and Anita, you know what I was actually going to mention to you is I wanted to see if we could actually post a treat recipe, because a couple of guests ago we had dietitian Cheryl Strachan, and she was saying if you like sweets, and sweets are in your toolbox to help you right now during the pandemic times, try to add some healthy elements to it. So I made a chocolate chip recipe with applesauce and chia seeds.
Oh,
so
that's
maybe we can post that up there.
And it was
too.
good? And you liked it?
Well, they were gone. Was good. But I think the point that she was making, that you can add stuff and make it something really unhealthy, at least a little healthy. I'm trying to incorporate that. So maybe we can throw that up there too. Before we sign off, we want to leave you with a quote. And Miss Anita, what's your end quote?
Okay, so here's the quote. I wasn't expecting him. I had nothing to prepare. And then you realize you need very little other than knowledge, patience, and a whole lot of love.
I'm thinking somebody had a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, that could be anyone. Can I just ask for a hint? Is it recent? Like somebody recently had a baby?
It was someone who had adopted someone.
Oh.
A baby.
Could it be Charlize Theron?
Oh, that's a good one. It's Sandra Bullock.
Oh, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
I totally love her.
You know, when you are adopting, you just never know when that baby is going to become yours, right? And so she started getting all panicky and everything, and then she realized, no, wait a minute, this baby just needs love is the biggest thing, right? And that's a mother, that's a universal motherhood thing. You get all panicked and that, and then you kind of settle yourself and you're like, okay, hold on, I can do this.
Yeah, that's common with biological or adopting. Well, that's it for now. Till next one, have a good one.
Have a good one. And before we head into our outtakes, we just wanted to share that we have a new page on our website on Mom Sipping Sangria, and it's a fave finds page.
Yeah, just stuff that we like, right?
That's right. Stuff that we like. It's, as we've gone into these COVID days, we're definitely online and we're looking at different products and ordering things and trying them out. And for me, one of the things that I've tried out is their new wireless headphones. And these ones actually have a little wire that sits around your neck in case it's going to fall out. They've never fallen out for me, but I love them. The sound is fantastic, and I would highly recommend.
And I got a vacuum that I would marry if I could. So check out our webpage, Fave Finds, and you'll get to see those products and other ones that we like. And we're not sponsored. We're just saying this is what we like, and we would recommend them. So check it out. Fave Finds on momsippingsangria.com.
Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
We are Mom Sipping Sangria. I'm buying really weird things from Amazon these days.
My page? This is why I keep my pages together, Sheila. There's that one.
It's okay. I love editing 15 freaking hours. It's awesome.
Oh, sorry. Hey.
I know, but you know
girl.
what, Anita, I'm forgetting things. Like I walk around in a fog. For sponsorship opportunities, email us at momssippingsangria@gmail.com. Mom Sipping Sangria is produced by Elm Podcasting.
Cha-cha-cha.
Keep going.
Woohoo. Okay. Hello.
Yeah.